Hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join us on the banks of the River Severn and we're in search of barbel. Before we get into this week's vlog, I'd like just to thank everybody who left nice comments on last week's video where we were on the banks of the River Severn on the limb anglers stretch chasing those chub and barbel. It really means a lot when you leave those nice comments, and thank you very much. So during this week we had a delivery of a leopard tortoise to the house for my daughter's birthday. She's well into her reptiles and is always watching the channels on YouTube, and it's great to see the little guy scuttering about and doing so well. There'll be more updates in the future, but as you can see he's super tiny and great fun. This weekend I was also on the banks of the Belmont estate continuing the work to develop the estate. This week it was all about shoring up the island, trying to make it as safe as possible so those carp don't get tangled in the roots, and also backfilling it with stone. A lot of effort, but when it opens it'll all be worthwhile. On to the fishing, and you join me back on the banks of the Middle Severn where we're trying for one of those River Severn barbel. Hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. Today you join me on the banks of the beautiful River Severn. It's low, clear, and we're hoping for a barbel. The river might not be in perfect condition today for barbel. It's going to be hard, but you can't knock the beauty of the swim. Every colour of green, the odd fleck of yellow, and sign of the changes soon to come. What a beautiful place to wet a line. The first thing I do when I arrive in the swim, get the rods in, but also get a good bed of food down, as you can see on screen now. Plenty of bait down on the bottom, get a good bed of hemp over that inside line. I'm a fond believer that you can't feed too much hemp seed. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at where we've put the rods and the little markers in the swim that you can use to judge where to cast. At the start of the session it doesn't matter whether the river's high or low, it's all about getting that bed of bait down and letting the fish know that there's food in the area. On the peg today we've got some good markers. That tree, the length of it, and feeding me hemp with the front of it so it coats all the way down. And the other one is literally straight out in front, down the middle, again hoping to intercept any fish that are moving up the river and draw them from where they are. Early afternoon when we're arriving on the river low and clear as I've said, but other conditions are quite favourable. We've got overcast skies, grey clouds and a bit of a breeze, so it's not all bad. Certainly would be a lot more worried if them skies were blue and clear. The rods are in. I'm just going to keep casting every 10 to 15 minutes just to build up that bed of food. Expectations, probably won't be expecting a bite till around about afternoon into dark maybe. It is low and very clear, but we'll go over the setup now that we're going to be using to give ourselves the best chance of getting a bite. So the tactics for the session, and you will notice these are quite similar in each vlog, and that is because the conditions are similar. If it works, don't change it. I've got a Corum bolt and run kit, an anti-tangle sleeve, 8-pound drill and supplex. In the feeder I've got the ground bait, the ellipse pellets, and on the far bank rod I've got a bit of hemp mixed in with the pellets because I can't reach it with a catapult. A nice simple setup, a 14 grappler hook from Corum and an 8 reel pellet on a band. Simple tactics, refined down, 8-pound line, and that is the tactics that we're going with today. So the rod that I'm using today is the Corum Excalibur rod. It is limited edition and it will be hitting the shops shortly. Team that up with the shadow reel, and on there I've got 12-pound line, the bait that we're going to be using today. And I've ran out completely of the Hinders Barbel Bomb ground bait. Done so much barbel fishing, I've gone through 10 kilo of the ground bait. So I tripped to my local tackle shop and I've picked up some of the Dynamite Baits Big River ground bait. In there I've mixed in some of the small Hinders Ellipse pellets, just to give me a nice smelly mix to go in the feeder. I'd like to say there was a good choice, but it was literally the only barbel type ground bait they had in the shop. Moving over to what's going to go in the feeder, I've got some of the Hinders small pellets, and they've been just soaked in the Ellipse oil. Got some Cheshire Particle hemp, as you can see on screen now, and I'll be feeding that over the top via catapult. And to go on the hook, I've got some of the 10mm and some of the 8mm Hinders Ellipse pellets as well. So one thing with barbel fishing that I found is you've not got to be complacent with it. When you're not getting bites, you've got to keep casting, you've got to keep the food going in. When you think about it, when you're trotting, you're constantly putting them hemp and maggots in, and it's the same with the barbel. You've got to keep that food going in to keep the fish coming into the area and attracting them in. So just into the first barbel of the session, and the inside rod has just screamed off over that bed of Cheshire Particle hemp, and just regular casting with that feeder. That's what we come for, a nice bend in the rod. They always go on that last run. You've just got to be prepared for it. It does feel a nice one. It is half putting up a scrap underneath the rod tip. It's a nice barbel. So one thing I always do when there's a barbel in the net resting, waiting to be blogged, is always bring that other rod in. It's out the way, and just deal with the one barbel, and that way it's got your full attention. You know, it's a nice fish, gives you the time, and you're not worrying about anything else but dealing with the fish. We'll give him a good rest down there, and then we'll get the weigh equipment and the unhooking equipment ready. Fishing is always exciting, but when the weigh sling and the scales come out, you know it's a bit more special. Let's have a look how much this fish weighs. Looks a nice one. I said it was going to be hard and couldn't have been further from the truth. Last thing I was expecting was a 9-pound barbel. Absolutely stunning colours. It's fin up, a beautiful fish. As you can see, it's a warm day. I'm going to get it straight in the edge to rest. I'm not going to keep it out too long, and we'll give it a good rest in the margin, and we might get some pictures before we let it go. Absolutely buzzing. And as I always say with the barbel, the rods are still out of the water, and resting them is paramount. He had a good rest before he was blogged, and now we wait as long as possible. It's important with all barbel, but with fish like this, they are the future breeding stock of the river, and that fish potentially in a couple of months' time could go over £10 and give somebody a very good day's fishing like it's given me today. proper buzzing. We sit here and wait, and it just takes as long as it takes. We give him a good rest. It's been about probably 5 minutes, just standing and sitting. And these moments can be magic. You know, you spend a long time chasing them, and just spending this time alone with them can be very special. You get to see them up close, and it's a time that I enjoy. But we'll wait until she's right to go back. You see her gills ticking over, but she's not quite ready, and she will let you know when she is. At the start of the vlog we went over the setup, and just shows, doesn't it? You know, £8 line and a size 14 hook. Just, you know, cutting it back, refining it back a bit when it's low and clear. You know, you can get bites, but you can also get the fish out. As you saw on that take, it was a violent take and the fish was heading downstream, but you've still got the power to control the fish and turn it. And it's all about having confidence in your knots, of course, but also, you know, confidence to really fine down your tackle. But one thing I would stress is you have got to pick the right swim. Although there is a snag downstream, it isn't in the water. By that I mean if you keep the rod low, there's nothing underneath that. It's just a raft that's fell on top of the water. But it will give the fish that confidence to be in the area, as opposed to that snag over there. If you were fishing that bank and you were fishing that snag, you can see how it's holding on to the flotsam underneath, and the branches are in the water, and that is a very different proposition altogether to that. And it's all about picking the right setup that you can use to get the bites, but safely. If you haven't tried barbel fishing, just give it a go. It's the biggest buzz ever, and my only regret in fishing is not trying it sooner. It really is that much fun. So just into the second one of the day, and this is on the middle rod, and just screamed off. So a nice start to the session, bending the rod and one on each rod, and see if we can get it in. So not much footage of the fight on this one. I was on the phone to my mate when it screamed off, and got a bit on my phone I think, but a bite on each rod, the same method, apart from I've been putting the hemp in the feeder on that far bank rod because I can't reach it with a catapult. Just over £6. The second barbel of the session in the daylight, and fingers crossed there's a few more to come. And it doesn't matter whether they're £6, £9, £14, they get the same respect. A good rest in the net before they go back, and we'll sit here again, the rod's out, and we'll make sure he's right before he goes back. And when they're ready, they always let you know. 2 barbel, 1 happy angler. So there was a few questions in the comments last week about this tackle box that they'd seen on the vlog. It's the Corum Maxi Rig Manager tackle box. It's the fully loaded version, and with it you get your baiting needles, disgorgers, your scissors, you get a rig manager, you get one of them, a few more small tackle boxes. And what I've done, being an all-rounder, I am the most unorganised person you will ever meet, and I've been trying my hardest to improve. So what I've done, I've picked up one of these for carping and one of these for barbel. And literally, if I'm going out carp fishing, I pick up one box and it's got all my carp gear in. And if I pick up this one, I say it's got everything I need for my barbel fishing, my rig stuff in it. spare hooks. Got all my hooks in that one, different sizes. All my hook links. It fits nicely on top. And there we go. So to those guys who are asking about it, that's what it is. That's the name of it. The rods are back in. And before we move on in the vlog, I'd just like to thank everybody who watches the vlogs, who enjoys watching them, leaves the nice comments. The vlogs have had a lot of barbel fishing in them of late, but the channel is a reflection of my fishing, and I really am enjoying the barbel fishing at the moment. So there will be other things that come along. Stick float fishing, pike fishing will be coming in the future, and I'll try and mix some more stick float fishing in on the channel. But at the moment, the barbel bug has bit, and I am enjoying it. I'm so glad that you guys are also enjoying watching the content. So thank you very much. If you're out this weekend, tight lines in your own fishing, and I hope you bag a few. I'm going to sit back, have a drink of water, compose myself for the rods going again, hopefully. And while I'm doing that, you guys can just take a look at the rods. Hey, we nearly did it, didn't we? Nearly. That had have gone then. What timing that would have been. So one thing when you get taps like that on the rod, don't leave it too long after. You know, give it maybe 5 minutes, but always reel it in. The reason being, if it is a chub, they are masters at knocking that pellet out of that band. So we're getting to around 6 o'clock now, and conditions are getting better. The cloud cover's returned. It's blustery, and it has got that feel of a cool evening of summer, not the warm ones that we've been having. And that is the beauty of angling. You get to see the seasons change while you're on the bank. Week by week, you see the little changes.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs.
So we're into dusk. The Tony Owl's been clearing his throat, and the night lights are on. And fingers crossed we can just pick up one more barbel just to end the session. But either way, it's been an enjoyable day on the bank. That £9 barbel and that £6 one on a day where the river's been low and clear. You've got to be happy with that, but you can't help but hope there's one more waiting. Fingers crossed. As you saw on the clip, the rod bouncing, it took me a few moments to clock on what was happening, but Mr. Chubb on the end, and hopefully this is the start of a few bites into the evening. But them 2 barbel and this nice chub, been perfect, and more than welcome. Let's get it straight back. And it's like chub o'clock just arrived. Where have these fish been all day? You would think, you know, they'd be around the area and you'd be picking them up. But as soon as darkness has come, that's 2 chub in 2 casts. Same stamp, around about the 3.5 pound mark. Again, more than welcome. But it does baffle you how you can sit there for so long and you don't get these guys. Darkness comes and they arrive. Second chub of the evening,